Hi, this is Pavel with a C# exercise from the book Visual C# 2012 How to Program. This one is from chapter 14, exercise 8. We are going to do a guess the number game. Now we did it before as a console game, but this time we will be doing it with the Winforms. We will be actually doing some interface. The game is simple. We will write a program that guesses our number. We are guessing what the computer selects randomly from 1 through 1000, and it should display, I have a number between 1 and 1000. Can you guess my number? Please enter first guess. And then there will be a text box where we will input the guess. And as the guess is input, the background color should change to red or blue. Now this is red indicates that the user is getting warmer, blue that the user is getting colder, in other words getting further away from the number. A label should display either too high or too low to help the user zero in on a correct answer. And when the user guesses the correct answer, we will display correct in a message box and change the form's background color to green and disable the text box. And it just says that recall the text box, like any other control, can be disabled by setting the control's enabled property to false. We will provide a button that allows the user to play the game again. When clicked, it will generate a new random number, and it will change the background to default colors. So the game is very simple, and the interface is just as simple. I have a text box where we will enter the number. There's a label here, over here, that will display the too high or too low message. And there's once we enter the number, we will click the enter guess now, and that's when the comparison will be processed, and it will display whether it's too high or too low. When we guess it correctly, this will be disabled, and we will click start new game, and everything will initialize again. Okay, so let me go into the code. So we have our load, our button guess click, and a button new click. So this is button guess, and this is button new. And first thing that we need to do is initialize some variables. I will start with the guessed number. That's the number that that's the user number. That's the one that we will enter into the text box. And then there will be a static integer computer number. This one will be the one that the computer selects randomly. And I will do a static string. I'll just call it message. This will be holding the values too high, too low, or correct, or like any messages that we will display. And remember, we are supposed to determine or change the colors to blue or red depending on how the user is getting, whether it's getting closer or farther away from the number. For example, the computer chooses randomly the number 800. Now we will do 500 as a first guess. So the color will be changed to red by default, simply because it's the first guess. Now it will say it's too low. Alright, so it will be red and too low. So now we will do, let's say, 700. It will be blue because it's closer to 800 than 500 was, and it will still say too low. So let's say we do 910. Now that's too high, and also it is actually further away from 800 than 700 was. So now it will be red and too high. So let's say we guess 799. So that's closer than 910 was, so the color will change to blue, and it will be too low. So let's say we do 802. The color will be red because it's further away then 799 is from 800. This is, the difference is 2, and here is only 1, so it will be red, and too high. And finally, let's say we guess 800, the color will be green, and it will simply say hooray or whatever, correct. So that's what they mean by changing the numbers. You know, basically it's like the game. You know, when you get closer or further away from the distance that you want to. In our case, it's the computer number generated. Okay, so for that I will have another static variable. It's gonna be an integer, and I'll call it difference, and I initialize it to 0. And this will be used to compare whether the difference with the new guess is closer to the number than the difference from the previous guess. Alright, so in the form load, now remember we also have button new game, so both new game and form load will initialize the form. So I will create a function called, it will be a void. I'll just call it init to initialize the form and everything. So that will be basically, it will create the number, the random number for the computer, and assign it to the computer number. So the computer number will equal to random number next, because it's an integer, and it's supposed to be from 1 to 1000. So it's 1, and this is exclusive, meaning not part of. So 1001, because 1001 is the exclusive upper bound, so it will be 1 through 1000 this way. Now for the testing purposes, I will assign, this is just for the testing, the 800 number, just like I showed you before, so we can test, you know, all the colors and everything. And once it's all tested, I will simply comment it out or delete it. Okay, so oh, here I forgot the parentheses. Alright, so now what else we need to do when we initialize? Well, our buttons need to be enabled. So our guess button enabled will equal to true. And our text boxes need to be cleared. So we will clear the text box where we guess the number. And we will, remember at the end, when the number is correct, we will change the background to green. So we need to initialize it to white, because that's the beginning state of the text box. So the back color will equal color dot white. So that's the background. And I have the label where I will be displaying too high or too low. I named it label high low dot text, and it will be empty. And we will finally also do, what did I forget? Oh, semicolon. And text user number, we will place the focus on it. So that's our init. And when our form loads, we simply call the init function, and the same when for the new game button, because that's basically as like reloading the whole game again. So we will simply call the init. So that's our initialization, but the code, the game code, will be in the button guess click, which is to enter guess now. So in order, first we need to get the number into the text box. So our guess number will equal to, we will convert to integer 32, and that's gonna be whatever is in the text box user number. That's what I named it, dot text. So this is the user number that we enter into the text box, and the computer number is being generated. For this purposes, I initialize it by default to 800, just to for the test, like I said. And all we have to do, we need to now determine the difference. Remember, like if the difference is smaller now than it was before, then we are getting closer to the number, and if it's further away, then we are getting if the difference is bigger, then we are getting farther away from the number, so the color will be red, and if it's closer it will be blue. So we will do if our computer number, and the difference is calculated simply by computer number minus the guess number. That will give us the difference. So if this is less than difference, then our text box user number by color will equal to blue, because it's getting closer. It's less, so means that it's getting closer. So it's blue. And if it's not, then we will simply do red. So the color, the back color will be color red. So this will change the colors based on the difference. Now the difference itself, after each click, we need to assign the value of the difference. And that's very simple. That's simply difference equals the computer number minus the guess number. Again, let's say let me see here. So the computer number is 800. At the beginning, the difference is set to 0. So by default, it will go and make it red because it's greater. So now I enter 500. I'm sorry, I enter 700. So we will come over here and say, okay, the difference was 800 minus 500, so the difference was 300. So it will say, okay, now the computer number is 800 minus I entered 700, which equals 100, and that's less than the previous number, the previous difference, which was 300. So it will change the color to blue. Now I will enter 910. Now the difference at the end will be 100, right? So it comes back again. I enter 910. So it says, all right, the difference is now 110. Before it was only 100, so it's changes to red. Okay, so that's how the color change will work. Okay, now all we need to do now is simply to compare the guess number with the computer number. So if to determine whether it's too high or too low. So if the guess number is greater than computer number, then obviously it's too high. So I will do the message will equal to high. And I can do the move the focus back to the text, the user number text box, so we can enter another guess. Else if the guess number is less than computer number, then obviously it's too low, so message will equal too low. Let me just make this capitalized, and once again I will move the focus back to the text box. Else if it's not too high, if it's not too low, then it's equal, and that's the correct number. So the message will equal correct. And remember, we're supposed to change the color to green, so the text user number dot back color equals to color green, because this is the final guess, the correct guess. And we don't want to guess again. Once we guessed it correctly, we disable this button, the enter guess now. So I will do the button guess that enabled equals false. so. And once we determine whether the number was too high, too low, or if it was correct, we will simply display it into the label. So the text of the label will change to whatever is being stored in the message. All right, so yeah, that should do. Let's see if it works. It's building. There it is. Now let me try the guesses from here. So let's say I try. Remember, the computer number is now 800, so I'll try 500. So now it should turn red and say too low, and it did. It says too low. Okay, so now I changed the number to 700. Now that should be blue, but it still should say too low, and it does. So now I turn it to 910. Now it should be red and too high. Well, it says too high, but it's still blue. So before, the difference was 800 minus 700 was 100. And now the difference is, oh, it's 800 minus 910. So it's actually a negative number, so of course it's lower. Oh, what we have to do is to get rid of the negative numbers. We need to keep the difference as is, the 800 or the computer number minus whatever is the guess number. But in order to get rid of the negative numbers and always have it positive, all we have to do is do the math that absolute value. So basically it will, even if it's negative 100, it will be positive 100. And over here, when we do the calculations as well, we do the math that absolute number. This is just a little algebra. Remember, absolute number cannot be negative. So basically, oops, too many parentheses. Parentheses should be here. So now when it comes over here and it calculates 800 minus 910, it would be negative 110, but it will make it a positive 110. So the difference will be 110. So let's see if that works now. Let me get again the values. So I'll try with 500. So again, it should be red too low. Okay. If I do 700, it should be blue, but still too low, and it is. If I do 910, now it should be red and too high, and it is red too high. If I do 799, it should be blue but too low. If I do 802, now remember this is just by 1, but it's still greater, so it's further away, so it should be red and too high, and it is. And if I do 800, it should be correct and green, and this button should be disabled. And it says correct 800. Yay. So if I start a new game, the button should be enabled. This should be all empty and the background should be white, and it is. So we can try again if it works the same way. So it's correct 700, too low but it's blue. 910, red and too high, and it is. 799, blue too low. 802, red too high, and again 800 should be correct, green. All right, so yeah, that seems to be working. So what you have to do now, remember, for the testing purposes, I set it up to 800. So the whatever was generated randomly was overwritten over here. So all I have to do is just comment it out, and now we have the actual game working. So now let's say I'll try with 500 again. It says too low. All right, so I do 600. It says too low, but I'm closer, so about 700. Now I'm even closer, but still too low. How about 800? Too low. And 900. 900 is too high, and it's red. So 800 was blue, so the difference is less than 100. So how 840. It's still too high, but it's blue, so 830. Okay, I'm getting closer. 820. No. 825. Too low. 826. All right, 827. No. 828. How about 829? I forgot what the numbers were. Okay, well, how about 840? 40 too high. And 35. Ah, jeez. Come on, 833. That's why I had it tested with the actual number. All right, 832, and it's correct, and it's green. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, this is basically the exercise. The only little tricky part was how to do the difference between the numbers. Like I said, we have to do the absolute values in order for it to work. And yeah, that's all. Fairly simple. But I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Take care.